Welcome to the Medic Side Hustles podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Shubhendu Kulshreshtha, an executive coach, an emergency physician helping clinicians like you make medicine your side hustle. I also author the impactful clinician micro newsletter and a side hustle readiness quiz taken by over 350 clinicians. So do join us. In each episode, we'll sit down with an inspiring guest who's redefined their career, turning their strengths and experiences into something greater. We'll dig into their journey and draw out the career roadmap, finding crucial decision-making moments that we can all learn from. In the second half, I'll hand over the mic to our guests to let them ask me anything they like about coaching and non-clinical careers. And live audience, you'll get a chance to ask us your burning questions at the end of the session. So drop it in the comments with the letter Q in the beginning to help make it easier for us to find. So let's get started with a quick introduction of our guest today. I'm very excited that we've got Dr. Hannah Brew with us today. She's a portfolio GP with work spanning across prison health, occupational medicine, women's health, the whole lot. And she's even inspiring a new generation of doctors and underrepresented groups through her own podcast, Maverick, that I was fortunate enough to already have been a guest on. So thank you very much for joining me, Dr. Brew. How are you today?
Better than most days, actually. Thank you, Shub, for having me. The honor is all mine.
That is fantastic. So tell us a bit more about yourself. Tell us what you do, and we'll then dive into how you got there.
Yeah. So yesterday, I actually posted a cheat sheet on my LinkedIn, helping people to introduce themselves. And I think it's just fair that I go by my own cheat sheet. And it answers 5 main questions. So it's called the name, the same, the fame, the game, and the aim. I hope I haven't twisted it upside down. I'm just saying it up, yeah. So name, same, fame, game, aim. So my name is Dr. Hannah Brew. I am an international medical graduate and I currently practice as a portfolio GP here in the UK. Gosh, what is my fame? I have a few letters behind my name. I have a master's in public health, occupational medicine, obstetrician, obs and gynae, a diploma from the Royal College of Obs and Gynae. I'm a member of the Faculty of Medical Leadership and Management, and I'm a mom of 2. I need to add that to my fame because it's really hard work. And my coach, my life or my personal coach, did ask me to give myself the recognition for being that. So nowadays, I do add it on. What am I currently doing? I think my latest project is running a podcast that showcases the stories of international medical graduates here in the UK, because I believe that international medical graduates do have stories that are worth telling. And from these stories, there are lessons that are worth learning. That's it. What is the big game at the end of the day? I'm really passionate about health equity and just diversity, inclusion, and equity generally, because I would share later, I've had my personal struggles and personal experiences, which have very much fueled this passion. So that has been my long introduction.
No, that is fantastic. I love that framework. I read your post on it yesterday, and it's such a good way to tell us about what's going on with your life. And I'm very, very curious. So you've got GP, you've got Obs and Gynae, you've got leadership, you've got a lot of different things. How did you know you were going to do all of this when you started your journey? Was it all intentional, or did opportunities sort of show up along the way?
No, I didn't know how to do this. So first of all, I didn't even know I was going to be a GP,
Okay.
So like I did say, I am an international medical graduate, and I jest about it when I say that I moved into the UK as an academic asylum seeker.
Okay.
So I had just come in because I had caused a bit of a stir back in my home country, Ghana. So originally, where I come from, that is Ghana, people who did, so you do your 6-year medical school and then you do 2 years of house job, which is equivalent of foundation year. And it goes without saying that you wouldn't be paid for a while. And it was almost normal. And being my Maverick self, thought, that's not fair. That shouldn't be normal. Who said it should be normal? So I gathered a few of my friends and we kept on doing, so just like what BMA is doing at the moment, they kept on writing letters, we spoke to the Ministry of Health, we spoke to all the people involved, but I think they kind of took us for granted. They thought, oh, because we've sworn the Hippocratic Oath, and yeah, that's how everybody does it. And even when we spoke to our senior colleagues, they were all like, oh yeah, that's how it says. They'll pay you after a while. And I was like, no, it had to change. So at the end of the day, I organized a sit-down strike nationwide. We were about 401
Wow.
doctors all together. The good news was that every doctor got paid. So it meant we picketing at Controller and Accountant General's office. I was in correspondence or at meetings with our Ministry of Health. We spoke to the president and we got paid. That was the good news. The bad news was that because I was part of the leadership, I got smacked. And people told me from the grapevine and even from some of the people that, so my country is quite political, just like any other country anyway, which the country isn't, that we garnered a lot of sympathy from the press. And then people got to know, just like it's happening in these days, that doctors are not being paid. Oh no, that's not nice. So it made the certain government at that time a bit unpopular. And because like certain chief executive officers were answering to the government, they thought that they had to penalize some of us.
Okay.
And I heard about it and I thought, this shouldn't be. So my plan was that before you penalize me, I'll be gone. And I'm going to go and I'm going to come back and make sure that I right the wrong. So that was how I left Ghana.
Wow.
To come and pursue a master's in public health. And I was actually thinking about like something to do with health policy, but it was more about global health. That's why I did my master's in University of Dundee. And the rest is history.
Wow, that's really, really interesting. I've not heard the story before, so this is really exciting.
I don't think I tell as much actually, if ever. Yeah, I don't.
So this is really, really exciting, and I'm very curious. So I think lots of countries have doctors where you're undervalued and underpaid. And here you were really feeling that on the front line, and not just feeling it, but actually taking action and doing what should have been done, and gathering the doctors together, leading a coalition, leading a tribe, and helping them get paid. What sort of was the factor, or what were your emotions behind when you decided to take that on?
I wouldn't say there was no fear. There was fear, but I felt it was the right thing to do. Okay. And if it was the right thing to do, it had to be done. And I've recently, so last night I finished binging on a movie. It's called Gandhi. And it's on LinkedIn. No, it's on LinkedIn. It's on Prime. Gosh, it's a 3-hour long movie. So I have actually had to cut it into bit size and watch it. And one of the quotes of Gandhi that jumped up to me, I might not quote it verbatim, but what he was saying was that whenever I feel like giving up, he remembers that always, and his emphasis was on always, truth and love always leads. And that at any point, people who are tyrants and who don't do the right thing may seem like they are invincible, but always truth and love always leads. And I thought perhaps at that time, that was what I felt was the right thing to be done. And this passion still drives me. If I think it's the right thing, I go all out for it.
And what sort of gave you the confidence to say, not only do I have the passion and I believe that's the right thing, but I'm going to actually put myself out there and do it? What gave you the confidence?
Ignorance. I was a child.
All right.
I don't know. Well, because I was about 10, 12 years younger. And you are fierce, and you are poised and you don't quite think about the consequences at that time. So you just go with your feeling. You think it's not right and then you just say it. You don't think about being politically correct. So, I granted some interviews with the press. And probably today I wouldn't say the things I said. Not that I insulted anybody, but probably now that I'm wiser, I would be more politically correct. So I'll be more cautious with my choice of words. Yeah. But at that time, you're fiery, you're fierce, you feel that it's not right, it shouldn't be done. Yeah.
So you took a stand and then you made all of this happen and you got marked and unfortunately had to leave Ghana for that reason. And you came to UK to do Masters in Public Health. Was that with the intention to take that knowledge back initially?
Absolutely. My primary goal was to learn what the right ways of management and then to go back and do the right thing. But there's this African adage which to wit means that translates into everybody has a plan until life slaps you in the face.
I feel like that sounds better in a different language. What's the original saying?
I would rather not. Again, like I said, I'm learning to be diplomatic.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. So I came up with my master plan of, I'm coming to learn and then go back. And I'll probably go back as in a managerial role, and then I would brighten the corner where I was or where I am. And then I took ill. And it wasn't like, I just felt a bit more. So it was at the tail end of my master's program, transitioning into, the tail end of the master's program. And I just felt a bit more tired all the time. By 5 p.m., I was struggling to keep my eyes open. I couldn't pick things. I was dropping things. So feeling more fatigued, droopy eyes, slurred speech, just something just wasn't right. And just to cut the long story short, I was diagnosed with a chronic autoimmune disorder which affects voluntary muscles. And up to today, I still struggle with it. So if you did, when you said, how are you? I said, today I'm better than most days. So yes, that's
Better than
been it.
most days. And I know the last time we spoke, you were in hospital. So I'm really glad to see you out and bright and really, really well. So I'm really happy about that. And so this was the slap that life gave you, I suppose. And unfortunately, that's just the way life is. And I think this is just my theory that I feel like sometimes amongst all healthcare staff, doctors turn out to be the ones that have faced some of the harshest trauma in their life. And that really transforms the way we take the next step. So you came with this intention, this purpose, this mission to say, okay, I'm going to get public health. I'm going to go back and change what the situation is, what the system is. But then life hits you. What happened after that for you?
What happened after that? So again, me being defiant, being Maverick, even when I was given the diagnosis, I was still in denial. And now I can look at it in retrospect and say I was in denial because I'm a person of faith. So it took me a lot to even accept that, yes, this is the reality. So in spite of the florid symptoms and everything, so I was supposed to start on steroids, immune regulator, things like that. I wasn't willing to take it, the medication, because I thought I could will myself out of it. I could work harder. I can work on my mind. I can meditate, pray, and get myself out of it. But, it only got worse. And But in spite of my personal struggle with my health, I thought I needed to go on with my career progression because I couldn't just sit and twiddle with my thumbs and say, oh, I'm not well. And then the other thing is that I hate pity. I can't stand the pity party. So I remember when I had spoken to you earlier, I had actually gone into a crisis and I was at the accident and emergency, but I had made an appointment to speak to you. And I said, well, I can speak. There's nothing stopping us from having a conversation. So Shab, we are going to have this conversation. Only I'm not going to turn on my camera because I might upset you. Not because of me, but I might upset you when you see the arterial lines, the monitors and everything in. I've got the non-invasive ventilator on my side just in case I need it. It might get you a bit ruffled up. So just for your own well-being, I'm not going to turn on my camera. But for me, I'm well and good with it. So yeah, on good days, I looked for, and I'll give you a timeline. This was in 2017, thereabouts. So I thought, listen, I need to reconsider my plan. Going to Ghana now in this health condition wouldn't be the best of ideas. And so for that's why I'm ever so grateful to the NHS. And when it gets into the political conversation of, it should be privatized, I say, I'm not sure I would be able to afford my healthcare if the NHS is ever privatized. But that's a story for another day. So yeah. So I was looking around for what to do next. I applied and got offered training into pediatrics, psychiatry, and general practice. And I thought, what is the best next thing to do in my current situation? And I thought, again, I have this public health background, and primary care, it engulfs general practice. So I thought, and apart from that, it was 3 years. It was going to be easier on my bones because at that time I was struggling with mobility and everything in between. So I chose to go into general practice. So yeah, that's what informed my choice.
Very, very interesting. I'm going to dive into that a little bit more. So you looked back and you said, okay, you've got this experience which made something right for you. You had some requirements around your needs in terms of what you wanted the job to look like that fueled your experience. Was there ever a thought of where you're going to be at the end of that journey? And how much did that play into your decision?
Yes. So I thought that my general practice was going to be a 3-year training, and that's it. And that's what everybody thinks, isn't it? Again, until life slaps you in the face. So I ended up training for almost 6 years.
Okay.
Instead of the 3 years, because physically my body could just not cope with the stress of general practice, the training. So I had to cut down my training time and get into less than full-time training. And as an international medical graduate, this again fuels my passion for what I'm doing now with the podcast. I got a lot of discouraging words when I asked people, because at that time I wasn't a British citizen and
Right.
I was on a visa, and everybody said, no, you're not going to get it. It will be almost impossible. And yeah, but anyway, I did it anyway. That's the long and short form of it. Thankfully, I passed all my exams on first attempt. So it wasn't really a problem of differential attainment or difficulty in understanding it. It was just about the ability to carry myself to work physically. I just didn't have the strength to. Because seemingly simple tasks, Shub, for instance, like brushing your teeth, people do it without thinking about it. But for me, it's an arduous task, I need to think about it. I use an electric brush, someone has to help me. And, today I'm I feel like I've come for therapy or something. So people see me in short hair and they think, oh, it's a fancy statement. No, because on most days I can't comb my hair and I have FOC thick African hair texture. So the thicker it is, the more difficult it is for me to manipulate or manage it. But if I cut it, and even if I don't comb it, it looks okay. So that is how I ended up. And over the years, I found out that I could brighten up my life a bit with a bit of color. So that's how I found myself here. Yeah.
What
So yeah, to your question of what did I see at the end, I thought, it's going to be a quick run through, but that was not what it was.
I was just noticing that like everything we've kind of talked about so far, you've constantly got a very sort of purpose-driven approach to your life and what you're doing. It's almost like your mind and your thoughts are anchored in the future, and whatever life sort of throws your way, you're able to sort of go around it and find your way through to the next stage and through to the next level, despite how tough that might be. And do you feel like that purpose has remained the same, or how has that changed over the times?
I think thankfully I've managed to, like they say, each time that people thought or the system thought they were burying me, I was just a seed. So each time that they dug deeper, I just got deeper roots.
Wow.
So with me having these names, everything that I am today has evolved from the experiences that I've had. I never, ever, actually, with my diploma in occupational medicine, I never knew about occupational medicine when I was in Ghana. I never even knew about occupational medicine maybe in my early years of training. I know occupational medicine, they are the people that you do bloods once a year or maybe at the beginning of your training and send them the blood to tell them that, you don't have, like you've taken your MMR jab and you're okay, you don't have HIV, and then that's it. So it's a one-time contact and that's it. You don't have any business with occupational medicine or occupational health. And that was my thinking of it as an international medical graduate, until I needed reasonable adjustments to pursue my training. And I had to stay at home for almost 6 months because I was waiting for occupational medicine appointment. And I thought, this is
Unacceptable.
Unacceptable. Yeah. Thank you. I thought this is unacceptable. Which gods do, I mean, which special kind of people do occupational medicine? And what is it even, that it has to stall my training for 6 months because I couldn't get an appointment. And again, that fueled my interest to pursue it. And I pay it forward to people by seeing them. And then again, I can advise from an informed place. So when people, especially international medical graduates, because no one plans to fall ill or no one plans to get depressed during training. No one plans to have added time, no one, people back at home in Africa, Asia, where we've come from, people who struggle with neurodiversity, they've always plunged on until they come here and then they are not passing their exams. And then I say, I think maybe you need to get a neurodiversity assessment. And they're like, what is that? And then they go and then they find out that, oh, I've always had some sort of learning disability. And they never knew because they are doctors already, And yeah, so every stone that has been thrown at me, I've just used it to build my fortress.
Wow, that is such a beautiful metaphor and such a beautiful transformation of everything you're going through. And it sounds like once again you experienced something and you said that's not how it should be, and we're going to fix it. We're going to make it right, and that's going to be better. And I'm curious to hear where this is taking you, what the future looks like in your vision at the moment, because I'm sure it's not going to be like, oh, another degree, another step, another milestone. And I want to hear what the purpose drive is behind that. But before we go into that, the question I have for you is, would you call medicine your side hustle right now?
Oh, no. Medicine is not my side hustle at the moment. So that's why I've got you, isn't it? So that you will make medicine my side hustle.
What would that mean for you, though?
It would mean a lot of freedom, So the last time you took me through the 3 main points about autonomy, you know it's better. You tell me. What are the 3 points?
Equity,
Yeah.
purpose-driven, and influence. So
Yes.
I changed ownership into purpose.
Influence. Oh, purpose. Okay, so let's do it again. So it's
equity,
purpose, yeah,
and influence.
Okay, so it's an EPE, right?
Yes.
I like mnemonics, so it's EPE, yeah. So equity, purpose, and then influence. Oh no, influence is I actually, so it's EPI, yeah.
Yeah.
That's even easy because it's like epidemic, epi. That's fine.
Absolutely, you need all 3 of them in your career to make it really high impact and make it work for you.
So that is what it would mean for me if I made medicine my side hustle. But no, at the moment, I do work 2 days a week as a primary care physician. I see patients. And then on the other days, I double in these other side hustles, I would call them.
Okay. And each of those, I guess, side hustles are still in your role as a doctor, as a clinician. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And in my head, that sort of comes together to be a portfolio career. Is that how you look at it as well?
That's it. Yeah. Okay. That's what it is.
And so
I'll keep them entertained. Don't worry. I'll keep everybody going until you come back. Hooray! He's back.
So there we are. Thank you very much for hosting. Yes, I was thinking that for the viewers and listeners who really want to make portfolio career for themselves, and they say that, oh, I don't want to do just one job the whole time, how can they look at it and choose what else they want to do?
I would say look at what annoys you.
Okay.
And it would be easy for you to look at what annoys you and drive your passion towards it and use it as an element of your portfolio career. Otherwise, you're just adding another chore to your already laborious life, your hard life. For me, occupational medicine, like I said, was a birth out of the lack of occupational health physicians to be able to see me. That's what came out from my diploma in obstetrics and gynecology. It came out of my very horrid experience having my baby here in the UK. So these have been born out of, like I said, from bad places, not the brightest. And I thought, well, if I've experienced it, I really don't think I'm special, although I am. But so, yeah, I'm battling that all day. So sometimes I think, oh, I'm special, I'm a snowflake. And other things, I think, come on, you're not special, just get up and do it, Yeah, if I'm experiencing it, then someone out there, yes, must have experienced it as well.
And so there's that process of getting the knowledge. So like you face a problem, you get more knowledge to understand it better and see how you can solve it. How do you actually convert that into a career?
So at the moment, we're on LinkedIn. There are recruiters there, and I work for people. So I don't yet have the EPI. I don't have. You say it.
The equity, purpose, and influence, all three of them. So it
Yeah.
sounds like you've definitely got purpose there. And it sounds like you've probably gained some influence by your position, your authority, and the knowledge and the degrees.
Well, okay.
And the equity pieces, as we were discussing previously, is something that you like more of.
Well, yeah. So along the line, maybe I might get to work for myself. But to be honest, at this point in my life, I think it's going to be a bit of a chore, because I'm already struggling taking care of myself physically, taking care of two little ones. I've got toddlers, taking care of my husband, who is a big toddler, So doing all that, I think at the moment, I would rather just work for someone. And maybe as I grow and things change, because my babies won't be babies forever.
Yeah.
As my position changes, I can look at other aspects. Yeah. Oh, and did I tell you that as part of my reflections, I write as well? And nowadays I've started publishing my writings. I just used to do them as journals and keep it somewhere until one day a friend saw it and said, you should submit this to someone. And yeah. So that's what I do.
There you go. And that's one step closer to building equity, because you're putting it out there in the world. It's getting seen when you're not talking about it, and it's getting you value in terms of what your thoughts and opinions are. So I really like that. That's really, really cool. So for people who are going out and getting new degrees or new certifications and qualifications, to convert that into a career, the first step is to start working with or for somebody else, I suppose, until they have the ability to do it themselves, and then take on that equity piece later on. I suppose bits in there where they can start building equity from the beginning with simple reflections, even sharing that with the world. That's really, really cool. So what does 2020 and beyond have in store for Dr. Brew?
So in latter part of 2024, I came across a Japanese concept or word known as Misogi.
Mm-hmm.
And Misogi actually means cleansing.
Okay.
Or purification. But the same word also encourages you to take on just one big, hairy, audacious task to do all through the year. So you know how people come up with New Year resolutions and they have 20 things on their list. I'll go to the gym, I'll eat well, I'll drink water. So the Misogi just says, fill out all your energy. After you've done this cleansing and you've purified yourself, just do one thing.
One.
Just one.
Wow. Where are you on that journey right now?
We are in late part of February, and I think I'm doing well because my misogi or my commitment was to step out and become visible. Because you wouldn't believe it, but I'm a very private person and I'm really, really shy. No, I don't think I'm shy. But recently, actually, I found a word to describe myself and I was like, this is me. Apparently, I'm an ambivert.
Okay.
So an ambivert, yeah. So when an ambivert, we are a fine blend of being extrovert and being introvert. So we know when to talk and we know when to pull back and reflect. And the ability to pull back and to going out mingling, hey, hi, everybody. I gather all the information and then I come back and I reflect and I journal and I write. And that fine blend is who I found out I am.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And so this year you're leaning into your ambivertedness, getting out there and getting known.
Yeah.
I'm definitely seeing you a lot more, at least on LinkedIn, and it's amazing reading your posts and your reflections about everything else. Let's draw this conversation to a summary. So what would you say was the one thing that drove everything in your success so far, and what would you like to take forward from that?
It's been a journey of faith. Like I said, I'm a person of faith, and I'm still on this journey. I'm evolving, I'm growing, I'm finding myself. I look forward to embracing new aspects of myself as as I grow and as I evolve. So like the phoenix, each time that I'm burnt, I just come back with more beautiful feathers.
That's absolutely beautiful. And I think so inspiring for all our listeners and all our viewers today, and for whoever's going to be listening to this in the future. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm going to switch this around a little bit, give you a question to ask me whatever you want. And I know we've done an entire podcast, so for those
Yeah,
that
we
want to ask
have,
us
isn't
more,
it?
but if there's maybe just one question that you have that you'd like to ask me about either coaching or non-clinical careers, what might that be?
So I would ask, I'll just pick your mind. So I got invited, like I said, because I really enjoy my personal space and I would say I'm a bit shy. I got invited to talk on a big platform here in the UK. And my question is more like, when would I know it is the right time to put myself out there? Because I know what the press can do. I know what people can do. I'm afraid of being trolled and now people nitpicking on your words and say, oh, but you said this, but you didn't say that, So when is the right time for me? That is if there's ever a
If
right
there's
time.
ever the right time. How would you describe the right time from not just the timing of it, but in terms of what you're trying to achieve in the world? What does the right time look like for you?
I'm a proper carpe diem person. So for me to say that, and so carpe diem, it just means seize the moment, do it now, just go for it. So for me to say that I'm waiting for the right time, again, it sounds like it's contradictory,
Mm,
because we only have 4,000 weeks and we've already spent, for me, I've already spent a good number of it.
yeah.
So when is going to be this right time? And I'm thinking, well, the right time will be when you feel, so just to borrow from Brene Brown, she talks about being vulnerable doesn't mean bleeding on people or spilling on people. You need to be in a good place yourself and getting the boundaries right, because you don't want to get on stage and start talking about your condition and then you start crying and whimpering. Yeah, it's okay to cry and whimper every now and again, but they are not the cause of your problem. Yeah. So that is maybe as a coach, if you could just give me a bit of clarity with that.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that there is an opportunity. You're generally a person who seizes the moment,
Mm.
yet you're a bit worried about what that vulnerability would look like and also the criticism you might get. The question I have is, what does it look like for you to successfully seize that moment? So you've got an opportunity. What does success mean for you in that situation?
So it would mean sharing my story and creating more awareness of what disability looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the minds of a lot of people, disability has a look.
Mm,
So what I'm hoping to tell people is that, look at me. This is me. I have a disability, but this is me. It's not shameful. It can impact on your work, but if it doesn't, you can still live an almost normal life.
and what makes that message important for you to convey to the world?
Because over the past few years that I have been disabled, I've realized, much to my disappointment, that I've even had people say, don't say you're disabled,
Mm,
and personally, even when I had to apply for a blue badge, it was such a struggle for me because I felt like a fraud
mm,
going for the blue badge. And I'm thinking, if me with my insights, with all that I know from occupational medicine as a GP, I am struggling with this, who else might be out there struggling?
yes. So it sounds like you've had a personal journey through this in terms of how you see yourself and how your perspective of your situation has changed, and you want to help other people do the same. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And what benefit would that bring to the people who have that shift as well?
I'm hoping it gives the world clarity that disability I don't have to use a walking stick to be disabled. I don't have to use a white cane to be disabled. I don't have to sit in a wheelchair to be disabled. And that not all disability is visible.
Right. And how is sharing your story the best way to give them that message?
So that they can see a lived example. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know.
Tell me more.
I don't know if they'll be able to relate to it. So if I start by telling you that, imagine if you wake up every morning with a double vision. Imagine if swallowing, even your saliva, which we probably have been doing since we've been talking, now seems like a task because you were afraid you might choke on your own saliva. Imagine when it gets really cold in the night and you have a duvet by you, but your duvet feels like lead. You can't pick it to cover yourself. That is what life feels like for some of us, you know. And it really irks me when, as physicians, we think that someone is lying, you know, or everybody is out there for benefits. I'm thinking I would trade all the benefits in the world, you know, just to be able to pick my 2-year-old up without fearing that I'll drop him or I'll drop myself to the floor. One of us is going to fall. So even when he calls and he reaches out and says, Mama, I would say, okay, you sit down, I'll be with you soon, or call Daddy, because I physically can't.
Just the way you describe that makes me imagine things that I wouldn't even have thought of, you know, despite seeing patients with various forms of disabilities. There's only such an extent to which I can imagine what their life looks like. You've obviously going to have some people that can imagine and resonate with what you're saying, and you're going to have some people that may not. Who are the people that would actually understand exactly what you're talking
I'm hoping that as physicians, I open the channel of compassion beyond empathy for us to appreciate more that it's not everything that we don't understand. That's a functional neurological disorder. It's not always in the patient's head. The fact that the patient doesn't have words to describe what they're feeling, especially for the migrant population, where English is not their primary language, finding even the right word, things get lost in translation. So if that black lady or that brown lady comes and she says, oh, look, I have this headache all the time, it's not in her head. So we have to empathize and have that compassion and say, yeah, I appreciate that you might have this headache all the time, but I have come to my wits' end as a doctor, what I can do to help you. So now you tell me how you think I can help you.
Okay. So in going back to your own personal journey in terms of how you had this realization, this change in perspective of yourself, was there a role that the doctor played in that journey, whether positive or negative?
I've had a lot of unpleasant experiences from my colleagues, unfortunately. Sadly, I've realized that people treat you by who you are. So they would probably, it's a shame that I have to talk like that because I'm a doctor myself, but I've realized that people would only brighten up or talk to you with a little bit of dignity when they find out that you're a doctor too. Other than that, they just talk down to you, you know, and they just.
It's really unfortunate.
It's a rather unfortunate, but I have a really lovely experience. I'll tell you what. Before we round up quickly, last time I was at the high dependency unit. I was not as a doctor, as a patient, and these experiences, I wouldn't say I enjoy, but I find it very enlightening because you realize that most of the things that we worry about in the HDU, it doesn't matter at all. Nobody cares what you're wearing. Nobody cares about food. Nobody cares about the quality of ring that is on your finger because it's probably even put in a Ziploc and they put it somewhere. And we are all equal when we are there, really. Nobody cares the number of degrees you have. But this is the highlight. So I hadn't eaten because I couldn't eat for like 48 hours. And then I'd come out, they tried to intubate me. I'd come out, I was feeling a bit better. And then I was hungry. And I told one of the nurses that I think I'm hungry. And she said, I'm so sorry, Hannah. You know, over here, they don't serve food because nobody here eats. And that's the truth because everybody's been intubated. People are on IV fluids and are having parenteral feeds. So nobody here eats. But guess what? It's a Friday and I'm going to order you some fish and chips. It's on me. And I'm not even a fish and chips person, but that food, it was better than I had eaten at the Ritz or something. I felt really special eating that. So yes, I mean,
that makes such a big difference.
It did.
That's so beautiful. I'm going to reflect back on what we've sort of talked about in our conversation. So there's this element of you that wants to share your journey to help the people that are also going through maybe what you've gone through. You want them to sort of open up and realize that there's a different perspective to their own lives. And yet, when you're thinking about talking and sharing this experience, I hear you talking to physicians and to doctors. How do you see the alignment between the two of them?
It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult because we are stubborn people because of our personalities, and it's difficult to say you can take the horse to the riverside, but you can't force them to drink. But it wouldn't have the guilt of not saying it. I know I did my part.
And so, as far as this platform goes, is it helping you speak to the right people in terms of what you want to bring to the world?
I quite think so, yes, because it's quite focused, and so it would get my voice to them when I'm ready.
Okay. And what does readiness mean for you?
I don't know. I don't know.
It sounds like there's something that you want the listener to do after they've heard you. And in this case, there's an audience that this platform is taking you to. And you want to share your story in a way that you want them to do something different in their life. Do you know what that is?
Be compassionate. Be compassionate. Yeah. Beyond the labels and the tags and the diagnosis, we just have to remember that, listen, you probably see a 48-year-old man who's come with a low mood, but he's a dad, he's a son, he's a brother, he's an employer. He embodies a lot more than that person that you've had that 10 minutes contact with, So just be kind.
Yeah. I mean, today listeners and viewers have sort of tuned in and they wanted to get to know about portfolio careers, but they've also been exposed to your journey and what that means for the next patient that they're going to see. And I'm sure that's changing their lives. And if you knew that all your listeners, or even just 10% of your listeners off of that platform that you've been invited to, even if 10% of those people started doing things differently, started being more compassionate, how soon would you want that to have happened?
I didn't get the question.
So if you knew that, like, you go and speak on this platform and say there's 100 people, even if 10 of them start doing things differently tomorrow and they become more compassionate, how soon do you want that to start happening?
Now.
Now.
The best time is now. Now, yeah. Just start from the next person you see,
From the next person.
Doesn't have to be your patient, your neighbor, your friend, your spouse, your children. Just make an extra effort. Be mindful.
Yeah. And so any day that you're not sharing your story with those people is another day when that doesn't happen.
It's another extra minute, an extra second, an hour more.
What's the cost of that?
We just continue with a not so nice way.
Are you willing to live with that, Hannah?
I understand that it's the system and it's 10 minutes and you have to see the next, and the A&E is filled with lots of people, so you have to rush through. But in the midst of all this, let's just remember that it's not just a name. It's not just an age. She's not just a 67-year-old lady, She embodies a lot more than that. And that's the message that I just need to reiterate. It's not that we don't know, but we forget. We forget.
Yeah. So we started this section of the conversation with you sort of saying you've got this opportunity, they've invited you, don't know if this is the right time or not. What's your perspective on that? Right?
I think yes. Now is a good time.
Yeah?
So I probably would say yes.
Okay. You want the change to have happened now, and you want to seize this opportunity because it seems like you should do this right now.
Yes.
What I'm hearing is that there's questions around how you deliver that. And I think that's something that we can dive into. And there's lots of resources and lots of people that can sort of help you make that happen.
Because Shub, it's almost like a vault. I don't know if vault is the right thing, but it's like once you throw yourself out there, you can never take yourself back. Because if you stand on this platform and then you deliver the speech, that's you. Automatically, you get known. But do I want to be out there? That is what gives me the shivers,
Yeah.
Because I cannot enjoy my little village doctor ride, which is something I really relish. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the talk, what do you think you're going to be known for?
The international medical graduate who is helping to change the perspective and the look and feel of disability among her colleagues and in society in general.
Okay. And so the people in your little village life who are also going to start seeing you with that lens, what will that mean for your day-to-day life after this event?
That is me assuming they see it. They probably would say, yeah, oh, I
Okay.
remember you. Or yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah, I saw you on TV or BBC or something like that. Yeah. Assuming they see it, because I don't watch TV. So
Okay.
assuming they watch it, they probably would see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Assuming they do, what would they say?
I'm sure people would say, oh, I never knew that was your story, because, like I said, I don't do pity parties, and I just crack on with my life. But again, that is why it's important for us to appreciate that as individuals, we are beyond what is seen.
Mm-hmm.
And we appreciate that everybody has a backstory running. It's like our phone. We have a lot of things that have been uploaded behind the scenes. So just be nice. And if you don't have anything good to say, maybe just be quiet.
I think for the interest of time, I'm going to give you a small exercise.
Mm.
There's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of energy from you when you want to convey what you want to bring to the world and the change you want to happen. You're clearly very passionate about it. But the moment you start to imagine your life after this talk and after this event, you sort of cross your arms and you're a bit uncomfortable about it. I think I want you to write down exactly what that looks like, what you're imagining will happen, and just put it aside for 24 hours. Just write it down on a piece of paper. Next day morning, wake up and look at it again and see what you think about it.
We'll do that.
I'm curious.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm also curious, in our conversation, what was the most valuable thing for you to take away?
I've thoroughly enjoyed in the whole conversation, and you've given me this task of write down the vision clearly, which is something that I resonate with, because there's actually a Christian scripture that says, write down the vision, write it clearly. So yes, I'm just going to do that. And
Okay.
then I'll look at it again, like you've instructed or encouraged, and I'll give you a feedback.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what comes up for you when you do see it again.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, when you do look at it again, try and look at it from the lens of the Hannah who stirred a big revolution in Ghana. What would you say about it?
I think that girl has grown, because now I wouldn't do certain things because I'm thinking about my kids, because at that time I remember the police came around. They said they were going to fire us with tear gas, but I was fearless and I was fierce. I said, yeah, go on and do it. But now I'm thinking, if you fire me, who's going to take care of my children?
But are you proud of what you created? What
I
the
am.
change it made?
I'm very proud of it, and I'm happy to tell the story now, because initially I saw it as an element of shame and I wouldn't speak about it. But now when people hear my name and they hear that I'm from Ghana, and then they say, "Oh, were you part of?" And I said, "No, I wasn't part of. I was the instigator." So yeah.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing everything you've brought to this podcast today, Hannah, for being so vulnerable and sharing the most intimate parts of yourself that have formed your journey. And I'm sure that's going to inspire and help a lot of the listeners figure out where they're heading for their own journey. Just as we finish, is there any sort of last instructions or questions or something you want to give to our listeners?
So thank you for having me. It's been really therapeutic. I've thoroughly enjoyed this one. I didn't really have any clear plans of what it was going to be like, but guess what? It's been an hour already, and
Wow.
it's been insightful. Yes, I'll just say that let's be mindful, let's be compassionate, let's be kind, because, like we earlier said, we are more than the people that we see. So let's just be kind.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. So, to our listeners, I'm going to say thank you for tuning into the Medic Side Hustles podcast. Our next live podcast will be on the 28th of Feb. So, that's this Friday with the amazing Rachel Lemon. Join my newsletter to stay updated. Link's going to be in the comments below. If you're wondering whether you're ready to make medicine your side hustle, try my 3-minute quiz in the comments and descriptions as well. I hope the conversation sparked some ideas and inspired you to think bigger about your career and your impact. Until next time, stay curious, keep solving big problems, and remember, you have the power to create something extraordinary. See you soon.
Bye.